The night is almost over.
You mean it's time for Sunbreak?
Sunbreak? But I'm not ready.
Don't worry, Squirt, you still have time. Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages, Sunbreak is right around the corner, and as hype levels reach absolute maximum, you may be wondering one thing. How can I prepare? How can I be as ready as possible for the journey ahead? Maybe you just want to make sure your initial Sunbreak journey goes as smoothly as possible, or maybe you just have the intense urge to play Monster Hunter again and want to make sure that you spend your time doing something that will help you in the future. In either case, you're in the right place. Of course, once Sunbreak releases, we'll be doing everything we can to make your experience more enjoyable here on this channel, so stick around if that's the type of thing you want to see. But for now, let's go over the 10 ways that you can prepare for Sunbreak right now pre-release. Number 1.
Ah! It's not a liquid!
Zenny! One classic part of a new Monster Hunter experience, be it a base game or an expansion, is the cost of equipment. Yes, of course, materials are the main thing limiting you from upgrading your stuff at any given point, but if you like making new armor pieces all the time, you will almost undoubtedly enter a Zenny deficit, spending more than you gain just by going through the quest progress. If you want your journey to be as smooth as possible, you should go farm some Zenny before the expansion drops. After all, there is no worse feeling than sitting down to make an armor set, knowing you have all the required monster bits, and then seeing that red Zenny number, realizing that no matter how good a hunter you are, the world is still run by the economy, even this virtual one that we live in. Number 2. Kirimura Points. It's a bit hard to predict exactly what will be useful in Sunbreak. After all, with expansions comes changes to systems, but one thing you can pretty solidly bet on is that Kirimura Points will still be in play, even with us, the hunter, moving away from Kirimura to a new hub off in the distance. They wouldn't just remove the points that we built up, right? At worst, they'll be converted into some new kind of points, but either way, they will still have use. You can use them to purchase your Dango before every hunt instead of Zenny, letting you save your Zenny a little bit more efficiently. You can use them to enhance your Argosy trading and resource generation through that, and you can use them for the Meow scenarios, which, while not the most exciting system, did reward us with a number of unique armor sets in base Rise, so it's reasonable to think that this system might carry on its usefulness to Sunbreak in a similar way. And if you want to make the most of these systems, you will need the points to fuel them. On top of this, probably the biggest Kirimura point expense there is the trading system with Rondine. You can use this to trade for things like traps, which are incredibly useful, or pale extracts, which can make you mega demon drugs and mega armor skins, or even raw meat, which you can use the Motley Mix at the Dango station to get you Dango tickets to get you more effective Dango, which, while not required, any of these are not required, they are one of the most helpful resources that you can have for a hunt if it gets a bit harder than expected. After all, we are entering the Master Rank expansion of the game. Many people thought that Rise itself was a bit too easy, but you have to remember it only goes up to high rank, and master rank is a whole other can of worms. You can be almost certain that by the end of your journey, something out there in the world will give you a challenge, and having access to resources like these just makes your life that much easier. So stack up those Kirimura points beforehand to keep it simple. Number 3. Decorations. This one doesn't necessarily have to be done before Sunbreak, but if there are any decorations that you think would be useful to have around, and you haven't managed to farm them yet, this is the prime time to do so. It's pretty likely that we'll have new decorations in the expansion, as normally happens, but that doesn't at all mean that our current ones will be obsolete. That has never been the case, and so it's still a good idea to get yourself a nice collection of ways to augment your build to be whatever you want it to be. This one is super self-explanatory, really. Even if you have the most busted set possible for high rank, there will come a point in master rank when you need to change just from pure defense numbers, if nothing else. Monsters will start to hit much harder, and master rank armor will be pretty much required, and you may find yourself switching to a set in master rank that is severely lacking the skills that you actually want to have. In this situation, having the right decorations around will do nothing but make you more adaptable, and those who can adapt in life tend to be the happiest.
Everyone learned a valuable lesson about life.
Number 4. Honey/potions. This is where my ideas will start to fuel into themselves, or take away from each other depending on if you're a glass half full or glass half empty type of hunter. One of, if not the biggest things you can do for yourself before Sunbreak is make sure you have a near endless supply of healing going around. Again, monsters are going to hit harder, and more importantly than that, they are going to have a lot more health than they currently do, making hunts last longer than they currently do. A big result of that is, of course, you are going to wind up healing more over the course of a hunt. No matter how good you are at the game, everyone gets hit by the monster sometimes. Everyone has to heal. And if you get to the point where you go through your whole supply of mega potions and have to go back to the camp to restock in the middle of a quest, chances are pretty high that you're using more honey than you're taking in. Of course, you can get honey relatively passively through the Argosy system, setting your buddies up to bring it back to you in reasonably large chunks every time you complete a quest, but as monsters get harder, you might find yourself using more of it than you gain. The best way to keep this from slowing you down at all is to farm the hell out of honey now. Use the Argosy, complete a bunch of quests, fill your item box to the absolute brim with enough honey to make an Arzuros consider if it's worth assaulting Kirimura even though the rampage is already over. Number 5. Upgrade your armor. This one probably won't apply to anyone who's been playing Monster Hunter Rise for months and months even after the content release has stopped, but if you're wearing an armor set that isn't fully upgraded, you simply have a lower defense number than you are capable of having, and if you've played through the game, you probably have the armor spheres to make it happen too. In any case, I've said it a couple of times already, but monsters just will be hitting harder, and while you will want to change your armor into master rank gear at some point in your journey through Sunbreak, you'd be surprised how far a high-end, high-rank set can usually take you into an expansion if you've properly built it up, and very importantly, properly upgraded it to its maximum defense number. Obviously, if you were just using whatever hobbled together thing you got to at the end of the high rank and then you stopped, this may not be an ideal use of your time, as you'll want to swap pretty early anyways, but if you are sitting there in a full Valstrax armor set, but the armor itself is level 1, this is a really good opportunity to fix that and get ready to be hit in the face harder than ever before. Number 6. Farm weapons. This is a fun one for me because it's obviously entirely speculation based. We don't know what the best master rank weapons will be in Sunbreak, but one thing you can be nearly sure of is you won't be able to make them unless you already have the high rank version of the weapon. Weapon trees used to be a relatively complicated system in older Monster Hunter games, but in the 5th generation and hopefully onwards, they are laid out very cleanly at the blacksmith, so you can see what upgrades into what in what ways, and very few weapons can just be created from the back end of the upgrade tree. That said, generally the best high rank weapons have the highest potential to be great master rank weapons too. They will keep the same characteristics and just get higher numbers, aside from new monster equipment that will be added obviously. And so if you want to be prepared to get that significant bump in power of a strong master rank weapon, it would definitely make sense to get a collection of the best high rank weapons for your specific weapon type so that you're ready to follow the tree just one step up when you unlock the master rank weapon, rather than having to go back and farm a bunch of old creatures after the fact.
Preparation is the key.
Number 7. Requests and side quests. There are lots of ways to slightly alter your experience through a Monster Hunter game, but in Rise a big one that we gained was the request system. Random villagers will occasionally get a chat bubble above their head, and then when you talk to them they'll ask you to do something. Do it and you'll get some sort of reward, whether it be an unlock of a new dango option for when you eat before a hunt, a design for a new weapon that you didn't have before, new camps, or even just more great wire bugs to place around maps in order to decrease your travel time on the hunt. You can be nearly certain that all of these will affect your journey in one way or another. If you have that urge to hunt and don't know what to do, this is a great place to start. Clear out your requests, do them all, make friends with the villagers, and they'll happily help you out in return. Number 8. Level up buddies. The buddy system in Rise took a step up in becoming technically more important than ever. It has been around for a number of games now as far as Palicos, but one thing that was never a part of the system before was actually getting to have one of these buddies with you in multiplayer, even up to 4 players, as now in Rise, every player on the hunt can take one buddy with them still. This means they actually mean something even in a 4-player hunt. They can alter your experience for the better, so maybe this is the right time to actually put some time into getting the right buddy. A Palico or Palamute with the skills that you think will generally help you. Maybe even a Gathering Palico to make sure you get as many monster parts as possible heading into Master Rank. But either way, one of the main things you can do for yourself here is just pick that buddy and hunt with them or train them at the Buddy Dojo until they reach level 50, as this will put them at their absolute peak proficiency, at least for now. Number 9. Catch up on event quests. Of course, many of the people here have hundreds, if not more than 1,000 hours in Monster Hunter Rise. That's just the thing with Monster Hunter games. You can totally lose yourself in them for months on end. But equally speaking, there are many people who just play it for the initial experience, get a taste of the end game, and then move on to play something else until the next big content release happens. Well, now with Sunbreak releasing soon, I have to imagine a number of people currently flooding back into Monster Hunter lifestyle have probably missed out on weeks, if not months, of event quests that were released along the way after the release of the final monster into Rise itself. While While they won't give you any power upgrades necessarily, they are full of gestures and poses and stickers and titles and all sorts of fun stuff like layered armor as well. And also they're just different quests than the ones that are in the game by default, which allows you to enjoy the hunting experience without doing the same things that you've already done. Number 10. Enjoy high rank. Yes, I know a lot of the things I've said up to this point have at least somewhat involved the concept of just hunting stuff, but yeah, just go out there and hunt stuff, especially if you like Monster Hunter Rise. The best comparison that I can give you here is the difference between Monster Hunter World and the Iceborne expansion. Iceborne was great in so many ways, but a lot of people had major problems with the clutch claw system that it added. It became a really integral part of the gameplay experience that was difficult to ignore even if you didn't like it. And the main thing is that once the Iceborne expansion released, this was even a part of all the content of base world, low rank and high rank, meaning once clutch claw was a thing in master rank, it was a thing in the entire game. For better or for worse, when the master rank expansion is released for Rise, it will change the way the entire game plays. And so if you enjoy what Monster Hunter Rise is today, right now, maybe this is the right time to get in one last hurrah, one last hunting spree with the systems you already know and love, what you're comfortable with, before delving into a whole new world of mechanics yet to be seen. And that just about covers it, everyone. I've been excited to make this video because it's the first time I've been properly allowed to say the word Sunbreak in months. I'm the person on this channel who stays as spoiler free about new things as physically possible, and so I've avoided every trailer since the first one, every tweet, every tiny bit of information that was released, so I could go into this as fresh as possible, and as a result, it makes it really hard to talk about Monster Hunter to people who already know what's going on. This, however, is the perfect opportunity for me to share my hype about the expansion with you all without needing to dive into what Sunbreak actually is, and I am just so damn excited to do that once the game is released. I hope you got something out of this experience. I hope that you're as hype as I am for the new expansion to come, and in the meantime, happy hunting, hunters. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.